Do you want to quickly introduce yourself? Maybe let me know uh, what your name is, where you are right now, what you do.
My name is Catherine Sterling, but I go by Cat. Um, I'm a competitive boxer,
Mm-hmm.
well, international boxer, and basically a short background is 2018 was my first full year of competing,
Mm-hmm.
and by the end of that year, I got to being third in the USA
Mm-hmm.
in my weight class. So after that point, in 2019 is when I started competing internationally for Haiti.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to take my skill set and go there with my boxing craft. And so ever since then, ever since like March 2019, I started competing on an international level. And it's just kind of crazy because I've only been boxing, or I've only been learning to box since February 2016.
Mm-hmm.
So this has all been sort of like fast. But the reason why I'm down here in Trinidad is I was invited um, to train with their team,
Mm-hmm.
their national team. And it was just me. Like, obviously, I do represent another country, but they invited me down for the camp.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, the camp was going strong, and then the craziness of COVID started to settle in, and that's when things started to be canceled, and like worldwide, you started to see a whole like ripple effect of what the virus was doing. So it ended up being that the camp was stopped short amid the news of the cancellation of or the postponement of the Olympics. So that's what the camp was for. The camp was to prepare for the qualifying tournament to get to the Tokyo Olympics.
Okay.
And then, in light of that being canceled and then postponed, the camp was called off. The difference with me and the other country that was invited to the camp, Cuba, they were going back to Cuba. So their situation was just a little different from mine in the sense that like they were going back to a place that hadn't been hit as hard. And I am based in New York. Like I live in New York City. So my situation was that I was going to be going back to pretty much the epicenter of the virus on this side of the world.
Yeah.
So the night before I left, I was just like thinking about it, mulling over it, like, should I even go back? Should I change my flight? And I ended up doing that the very next day. The morning of, I was supposed to fly out in the afternoon, and the morning of that flight, I called the airline and I was like, I'm not going to take this flight. So that was kind of crazy because it changed things in a really big way as far as my time here. I really thought I was going to be able to go back to New York on a regular like status, but the danger of it just sort of like changed my whole decision on that, and it made it so that I was able to stay down here. Thankfully, the boxing association here, the head of the boxing association, he also owns the gym that I'm staying at right now, and he basically extended that offer to me to just remain at the gym until I felt safe enough to go back home. So that's pretty much the space that I'm in now. I'm trying to decide when it's going to be safest to return to New York. I extended my ticket so that it's open-ended, and that's pretty much where I find myself now.
Okay. So you're staying in the back of the gym?
Well, now I'm staying, in the back of the gym, but now on the upper floor of the back of the gym.
Okay.
So, like, I moved 3 times within the gym from where I was when camp was on to the room that I was in when camp got called off, and then moved again because there are, in fact, actual tenants that live in these spaces in the back of the gym. So that's how that happened, that I was moved to my 3rd room here.
And I'm not sure, did you say you're in Haiti or in Trinidad and Tobago?
Right now I'm in Trinidad and Tobago. I am in like the southern part of Trinidad, so it's not as central. It's not as close to, the, I guess, metropolitan area, you could say. It's not like crazy outskirts. Like there's still a level of like bustling, I guess, city vibe, I guess you could say, but it's not as central as Port of Spain would be.
Yeah, of course. And how's the situation there then? Where you are at the moment? Have a lot of people been affected?
It's really subdued. Like it's so peaceful, almost. Like the other thing is this country is taking this virus, or took this virus very seriously from the moment there was any sort of like wind of caution or severity to what was going on. So they early on were, doing lockdowns and doing non-essential worker shutdowns or non-essential business shutdowns. So from a very early time, it was like, oh, okay, there's definitely a recognition of what's going on, like that far surpassed what the USA was doing and still kind of is doing.
Yeah.
So that to me is just, it's a huge blessing to be in a country that is taking the virus very seriously. And yeah, it makes the area that I'm feeling in now almost feel like, it makes it feel unaffected in a way. Not tremendously unaffected, like there's still a level of caution that you have to take, and you still go outside and you see people in masks and all of that stuff, all of those precautions, but it just seems safer. And I knew that it was going to be, as opposed to going back to New York where, New Yorkers are just known to be stubborn anyway. So there was a lack of like hold on the population of New York to fall in line with what it would mean to make this thing go away, or make it at least containable. So I knew that, and yeah, I'm glad I made the decision. It's challenging, but I'm glad I made the decision to stay in a country. Obviously, I don't have experience living here, so that comes as a challenge. But like as I move forward in this time, it's like less and less about that and more about, okay, well, you're just keeping yourself safe. So.
And how has it been to? I mean, yeah, it must be weird because you're in Trinidad and you're looking back to your home, and that's the epicenter at the moment, right?
Right.
How's that been?
Yeah, so it's like at this point the numbers are still really the death numbers are astronomical. Like it's still a situation where I'm almost looking at it in disbelief. But it's like numbers don't lie, so I can't just think of it as like, oh, that I'm completely exempt from what that would mean, just being in that environment itself. So like New York is still pretty bad, I would say, numbers wise, and just the rates like from day to day, it's still pretty bad. But it's like, if I think of it in comparison to here, it's almost like the virus didn't even hit this part of the world.
Yeah.
If I can sort of like scale it back to what it would mean for it to be here.
Yeah, but have you had to stay? So you had to isolate yourself as well, I guess, more or less.
It's less of an It doesn't feel so much like an isolation either. It feels more just like quarantine. Like,
okay.
I mean, isolation to me reads as being confined to one room in a certain building or whatever.
Yeah.
But quarantine means just like you're not going to be traveling to different neighborhoods all the time, and you're not going to be even traveling to other cities or other areas within that country. At least for here, it seems that way. So it really doesn't feel like I'm confined to the room that I'm in. Like I can step out and go to the store or step out and get supplies from a pharmacy or whatever. But yeah, it doesn't feel as severe as it would feel in New York, where I would definitely feel like I would just want to stay in my room
Yeah, for sure.
through and through.
Yeah. And obviously now this whole COVID thing, coronavirus and whatnot, has kind of like grabbed the attention. I feel like from any other issue or anything. Have there
Right.
like have was there anything that you were kind of like passionate, like an issue or something that you were passionate about before coronavirus? Like I don't know.
Well, I'm always passionate around issues that involve my identity as a Black woman. My identity as a female boxer, female athlete in a male-dominated sport.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that like the female athlete sort of experience is something that's like paramount, because even in this situation, we've seen that essential jobs don't fall in the way of like athletics.
Yeah.
So that's obviously not something that's like of grave importance, but the importance of issues like Black women and Black people themselves being disenfranchised and being limited in resources, turned away from a lot of resources.
Yeah.
That's something that I will always be passionate about till my last breath, because I fall into the group that affects directly. So it's like, even with this virus, you're seeing the disparities racially of who's affected negatively, and that's something that was always there. That's something that was just an issue that has been affected by so many other systems, not just the introduction of like a pandemic.
Yeah.
So it's like, you see what I'm saying? So those issues I was always going to be passionate about. Those issues I was always going to be like having to think about. So that makes it really like the virus itself sort of highlights that disparity that was always there, but it's going to be a real, I guess, magnifying glass on whether those issues are even going to be addressed. Yeah, whether those pre-existing systems and those pre-existing mechanisms of whatever the normal was before, it's going to be a big magnifying glass on whether anybody's willing to address that. Going into what it means to contain this thing, and then to re-implement better policy, better systems that would at least like address that pre-existing systemic issue.
Yeah.
So that's something that's like, yeah, it's definitely always been there, and it's not something that I can stop thinking about, because I'm a young adult that falls into the category of people that are directly affected by those systems. So
I feel like it's really been shown again, types of like institutionalized racism and disadvantages in this pandemic again. So I hope.
And those are things that have been just implemented in society as almost like that's how, by design, not even almost like by design, those institutionalized racism, discrimination, anti-Blackness, all of those things have been by design, just part of the fabric of society. And that's the crazy part, because now you have, okay, this virus is affecting other demographics and other groups as part of society, but clearly from the structure and the framework before, it was going to be a direct like a cause and effect type of thing, or a direct response to what was already there. And that's something that I really just like, people just need to understand that before any conversation about like what the virus is doing and how to contain it and all that stuff. When it comes down to who is really affecting in a negative way, that becomes a race issue, that becomes a class issue. So if you don't have resources, you can't imagine being able to combat this and still break even at the end of it, you know?
Yeah, it's true. Well, I think I'll leave you with these words. Quite powerful.
Okay.
It was really good talking to you. Thanks so much.
To you too.
Yeah, thanks so much for.
I always appreciate anyone that's willing to share experiences like this, because this is not a normal situation. So I appreciate you actually like reaching out and trying to get different perspectives on what this whole situation is, because we may never be able to even communicate on this level with people about what's going on. So
yeah, well, it's a pleasure. It was really nice.
Thank you.
Cool. Well, stay in touch, and yeah, I hope you have a good time.
Alrighty. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.